His list of accomplishments is simply astounding. 4 Canadian Amateur Championships, 13 British Columbia Amateur titles, 7 times a member of Canada's World Amateur Team, 19 British Columbia Wellington Cup team appearances. In the annals of Canadian golf history, British Columbia's Doug Roxburgh stands with the giants. So how did this great champion get his start?
Started in golf caddying for my father. He was a longtime member here at Marine Drive, and I think he joined in 1955. And I was 8 or 9, 10 years old. My dad would drag me down here on Saturday mornings, and I'd caddy for him, and that was my start. I think, as I've told lots of people, I think I was looking for golf balls more than I was caddying, but that's how I got started. And then just naturally from there joined the junior program when I was 13, and I've never looked back. I've been a longtime member here at Marine Drive, and it's been a great part of my life.
It was a common sight to see him riding his bicycle the 2 miles from his home to the club after school and on summer mornings, with golf bag perched over his shoulder. Local professional Jack Westover honed Doug's swing early on, and soon he was entering tournaments. However, his first foray into a big tournament came as a 14-year-old in the Vancouver City Junior. But let's just say he got off to a bit of an inauspicious start with scores in the upper 80s. Undeterred, Doug worked hard on his game and returned the next year to Seymour Golf and Country Club, and lo and behold, won the title and has never looked back. Years later, his son James would win the same event, giving them a unique Roxburgh double. After a runner-up finish in the 1967 Canadian Junior Championship, 1969 saw Doug capture both the BC Junior and BC Amateur titles. The next year, in 1970, he won his first national championship, the Canadian Junior, and successfully defended his BC Junior crown for good measure. It was now clear Doug was one of Canada's bright young golf stars. In 1972, Doug embarked on a career that would see him remain at the pinnacle of amateur golf in Canada for the next quarter century. With his powerful and efficient swing, he amassed the finest amateur record of any Canadian golfer in the post-World War II period, and arguably of all time. Under the midsummer heat, Doug claimed his second BC Amateur crown in 1972, and a few weeks later attained what he called "my number one goal" by winning his first Canadian Amateur Championship at the Earl Grey Golf Club in Calgary. And he did it in grand style by besting fellow British Columbian and future PGA Tour star Dave Barr. The competition floodgates were now wide open, and the wins poured in. A total of 4 Canadian amateur titles, 13 BC amateur victories have resulted in Doug's trophy case being a bit crowded with silver hardware. One of the proudest accomplishments of any golfer is to have the opportunity to represent his country in international competition, and Doug was a regular at doing just that. He was selected to the Canadian World Amateur Team 7 times and also played on Canadian national teams that traveled to South Africa, New Zealand, France, India, and other British Commonwealth countries. In 1981, he captured the prestigious Simon Bolivar Invitational in Venezuela, earning him the distinction rare among amateur champions by winning on multiple continents. In 2008, as a tribute to Doug, the British Columbia Golf Association afforded him a lifetime exemption into the BC Amateur Championship. As Doug's competitive career began winding down in the late 1990s, he and his wife Lorna, whom they met through golf, surely a mere coincidence, were looking forward to some quiet, leisurely rounds together at Marine Drive, while Doug expanded his golf-related accounting business and perhaps played a few senior events. But in 1999, Royal Canadian Golf Association Executive Director Stephen Ross came knocking on Doug's door with an offer he could not refuse. The RCGA was embarking on an ambitious new initiative to make Canada one of the leading countries in the world at producing high-level golf talent, and they wanted Doug to lead the charge. As a lifelong amateur champion and revered in golf circles across Canada, Doug was the perfect fit. Today, Doug is the Director of High Performance for Golf Canada and the RCGA, overseeing Canada's up-and-coming golf stars. Now, doesn't that sound familiar?
I think Doug has been a tremendous role model for all of our young players. As a matter of fact, we deliberately pair Doug with our up-and-coming young players so that they get an opportunity to see how he conducts himself on the golf course.
Well, when I heard that the RCGA was going to put together a program for elite juniors in Canada, I don't think they could have chosen a better person than Doug. First of all, when the program was put together, Doug could compete equally with any of these juniors. Therefore, he would gain instant respect. Secondly, I don't think there's another person who had the international experience that Doug had.
And with recent standouts like James Lepp and Nick Taylor, Doug's leadership is paying dividends, and just in time for golf in the Olympics. So why did Doug remain a lifelong amateur golfer and forgo chasing the dollars on tour, you ask?
In my day, back in the early 70s, there really weren't the opportunities to play professional golf. There was the PGA Tour, certainly, which was the number one tour. There was a somewhat of a Canadian tour. I think it was the Peter Jackson tour at that time, and the mini tours were just actually getting started. There was internationally there wasn't very much, and at that time I did have some great opportunities to play for Canada and represent Canada, and I think every year for about 10 years I went somewhere whether it was a Commonwealth match or a World Amateur Team Championship or just some other invitational, and trying to play professionally and be gone 2 out of every 3 weeks. I had a great family life, and you just wanted to be around. I had some great bosses that gave me some extra time off to play some golf. So.
And in pondering what tonight's induction means to Doug,
well, I mean, it's a tremendous honor. I mean, you look at the list of players and people that have been inducted, and to go and have my name up with it was just, it's just a great honor. And I think when you receive something like this, it gives you a chance to reflect on your career and all the people that have helped you and been part of it, and that's very rewarding for me to think about those people and to be honored like this.
please join the PNGA as we induct one of Canada's greatest all-time amateur golfers and finest gentlemen, Doug Roxburgh, into the Pacific Northwest Golf Hall of Fame.